Yay, technology.
Okay.
And then we still expect Director Redfern to come in person. He's
No,
not in here.
he's going to be online.
Oh, okay, so he's not in yet, but
So,
now that's still Bradley's still connecting.
hey Frank, this is Wendy. I'm good. How are you? Are you having trouble getting on? No. Okay. Okay, sounds good. Thanks. Bye. Frank says he's logging on right now, so I'm going to call back and see how you.
Okay, well then I think it is okay for us to go ahead and start.
So hit the record button, please.
Okay, record button. Ah, there. Record on this computer or record on to cloud?
It's up on record to the cloud.
Okay, this one. Okay, very
And did
good.
you let everybody in?
Yes, everyone is in.
Okay.
And can you hear me? I don't know that my thing is on. Okay, great. Thank you. Was that Jay? Thank you.
You know, I just
Okay.
unmuted. Yeah, thank you, Jay. Sorry, I can hear you, Karen.
Okay, thank you very much. We will get started, and we will start by calling the meeting to order. This is the Santa Ynez Community Service District regular board meeting for January 20th, 2021, and we are calling the meeting to order at 5:32. So if you would all stand, of those who can stand, and we'll do the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag. United States of America,
to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We have two people present who are applicants for the open seat, but, roll call, but I was going to let them know that we do the consent agenda and have a few other things we're going to do first. Okay, so Wendy, you go ahead and start with roll call.
All right, we have Director Beard.
Here.
Director Jones.
Here.
Director DeAmbra.
Here.
Is Director Redfern online yet?
No. Okay, our next order of business is public comment. This is an opportunity for people to comment on things that are not on the agenda. So I don't see anyone from the public here except for the two applicants. Do you have any comment that isn't related to the appointment? Okay, then we have no public comments and we can go ahead and move to. No, nobody else is in the room. And Jay, and Director Redfern just came on. So Director Redfern is present now. Okay, so the next items on our agenda are the consent items.
Madam President?
Yes.
I'd like to make a couple quick announcements before we get to
Yes.
the consent agenda. You have two handouts that were not included in the board packet. The first one is the financial software comparative analysis. When we get to that data, we'll make sure that you understand where that goes, and that's when we get to the purchase of the financial software. Have that available. We'll discuss that.
Okay.
And then the second one is Horizon Red Mainline Extension Project List. We'll discuss this once we get into the manager's report. So I wanted to let you guys know where we are, where we're at. That's included in my manager. We'll get to that when we get there.
Thank you, Mr. Acosta.
And then the last thing I
Yes.
want to mention is that you can see the legal counsel is not in attendance at the meeting tonight, as we don't feel it's beneficial, cost beneficial for the district to have them in attendance at the meeting for everything on the agenda, except for a closed session item. We did agree that he should be on the phone call when we get to the closed session item, which is the evaluation of the general manager, as he was included on the first part of that. So, and that'll be something that I'll discuss when we get to my goals. What role we're going to take in that to proceed on that.
Okay, that sounds good. Thank you. So now what we do, the other directors know, but just to let the two guests, applicants know, we review our minutes from any meetings that have happened since our last meeting. I think we have maybe a financial committee minutes in there, Wendy, and then our regular board meeting minutes from December. And then we also have the desktop of approval of disbursements from December 11th. So if we have all received this ahead of time and had a chance to look at it, did anyone have any questions or any corrections they would like to see made before we make a motion to approve? I did not see anything. I'll give you a little more time. Okay, then may I have a motion to approve the consent agenda items?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, we have a motion from Director D'Ambra. Is there a second? And a second from Director Beard.
Okay, so we have a motion by Director D'Ambra, and a second by Director Beard to approve the consent agenda items as presented. We'll do a roll call vote. Director Beard?
Aye.
Director Jones?
Aye.
Director D'Ambra?
Aye.
Director Redfern?
He said aye. Frank, are you on mute? Zoom is really working out to be a great thing, but we still have a little bit of a learning curve. So have you unmuted yet, Frank? Oh, there
Okay,
you go.
can you hear me now?
Okay, yes, I can.
Aye.
He says aye.
Okay, perfect. Motion passes.
Yes. Okay, now we are moving on to our action agenda. And the first item on our action agenda is the discussion and possible appointment to fill vacancy on the board of directors. So General Manager Acosta.
Yeah, so the board of directors currently has a vacant position, which was vacated by Director Miller as he did not run at this past election. So vacancy is there for the board to fill the vacancy with 2 applicants, which we have available this evening for the board to ask any questions, set up some type of interview, and make a decision tonight if you want to fill the vacancy. The vacancy must be filled by January 31st to meet the 60-day deadline from the previous board member.
If I may,
Yes, sir.
all those deadlines are in limbo, every one of them with the county because of the COVID thing. So they are a little flexible on things. We're not, we may not need it, but I've talked to the county even about meetings and nobody really knows. It's like, so I don't think we should be under the gun. That doesn't serve us real well to slam dunk if we're not all together. Sure.
Well, what I would like to do is that's a discussion that we can have. I like to follow the rules and I don't like making them up as we go, but I agree with you. I would like to adhere to that. And if we are not able to reach consensus tonight, we could have a special meeting. But I want to stick with we want to carry on as normally as possible. And so I like the 60-day deal. And I also think that as a board, and if we don't reach consensus tonight, then that even goes to show why it is so important to have a full 5-person board. Because, there's a 3-2 thing and decisions are made when you have a 3-2. We like to all be together on stuff. But if we can't reach a consensus, yes, Director Redfern.
I can't hear Jose at all, the general manager. So I missed his spill. I can hear you guys fine, but not Jose. I don't know if I can hear Wendy either.
Okay, I'll speak up, Mr. Redfern. I'll speak up so that you can hear me.
Okay, and you were able to hear Bob's points.
Yes,
Right
I did.
now, we're going in and we're going to talk to 2 gentlemen who have applied.
Right.
And we'll get into the details about consensus or opening up for other things, but I think we should proceed as we would at any other normal time and then deal with anything that we need to deal with as it advances here.
That sounds great. So the 2 candidates we have on, Mr. Bradley Van Pelt is currently on Zoom and he should be available online. Mr. Barry Knight is present in the audience as a public member
Gonna
here.
have trouble seeing what people are wanting to do.
But this time I'll turn it over to the board, and if you guys want to ask questions, go ahead and
Okay.
start that process.
Well, we will start then by talking to, is it Mr. White?
Very well.
Okay, Mr. White, why don't you tell us a little about yourself and why you're interested in serving?
Do you want me to come closer? So
You certainly can. There's a chair here. I think that's nice.
I have lived in the valley since the late 80s. My sons went to high school, grade school and high school here. I've worked here since the early to mid 70s. I have a construction background, electrical explicitly, and have just considered this my home and would like to be much more active in the community. Became aware of the position opening, and I know from past years when the ad hoc committee was started for the sewer, kind of got active then as the neighbors all got together over the whole sewer issue and came to several meetings at that time. So when I heard of the position opening, thought I would investigate.
Okay, and do you have questions, Director Beard or Director D'Ambra?
Well, I'll tell you, I know Barry personally. I think he's got a little time on me living here. But I've worked close with him on a project in Santa Ynez here. His character is exceptional. I would trust him to make a decision for me, what I know of him. And I try to have all my friends and my colleagues I work with, I like that same level of feeling that the people I know I work with or are friends of mine, I have a good character trust. And I think personally, because I know Barry, that he's exemplary in that aspect.
And you don't have any specific questions for him?
That was just.
Oh, just giving a
Just an
character
umbrella.
reference, okay. And Director Beard, do you have any questions? Oh, well, I have a question. How did you hear of the opening?
I heard from Bob, and then I want to say I saw it in the local paper.
Okay, because we did post opening, very good. And
And again, being from a construction background, construction and water / sewer are pretty related. As I have heard from people through the years, either waiting for a water meter or dealing with getting a water meter. And then, like I said, the sewer, I live off of Samantha. So when the sewer became an issue and an ad hoc committee was formed, became much more interested and much more active with other neighbors and attended several of those meetings and tried to figure out where the whole septic issues and sewers and how they relate and everybody's feelings about it. So
are you currently on septic or?
I am currently on septic and have in the 30 plus years that I have had no issues.
Okay, and did you have any questions, Director Beard? Director Redfern, do you have any questions for Mr. White?
He was on an ad hoc committee for this, for the extension.
I was not on the committee itself, no. I became involved and interested when the ad hoc committee was formed and the whole sewer issue as it related to at least Samantha Drive came into play. Then I became much more interested and much more involved, but I was not on the committee, no.
All right.
Okay, does anyone else have any questions? Because if not, then I would like to hear from Mr. Van Pelt. I will start with the same thing. I know the answer to this question, how you became aware of the position. So I told Mr. Van Pelt after his wife contacted me about a street issues they were having. And I thought, oh, this is a nice young family interested in their community. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your background and why you think that you would be a good fit and do a good job?
Absolutely. First off, thank you, the committee, for having me tonight. It's an opportunity for me to kind of, I would say, give back a little bit. Myself, born in Michigan to two great parents, and we moved to California, Santa Barbara in the early 80s, raised in Santa Barbara, did my travels, played some sports, went to college, and found myself in the San Ynez Valley a little over 10 years ago when I got in the wine industry and met my future wife at the time, Rachel Caslow, who was from a very nice local family. And fast forward 10 years and have a family, 4 children with Rachel. We live in the downtown corridor of San Ynez. I've decided to make San Ynez my home and raise my family there with my wife. And for many years, Karen, right, we have actually talked about different ways to get involved with the community. I've spoken with my wife, and the time has just never been right. And after, I guess, the last year with, I would say, another birth of a child, and just feeling that, that the time might be right, we asked the question again, and sure enough, there was an opportunity on this committee, and I thought it would be an appropriate time in my life. I think I have a different perspective, being a younger gentleman that has a family, a lot of schools. I look at maybe the community from not a fresh perspective, because I don't want to say anyone that's been there longer has an old perspective or an outdated perspective. That's not my take, but I do think through the lens of my eyes with 4 young kids in the community, looking at the long-term objectives and also ways to kind of protect the sanctity of San Ynez. It'd be an ideal time for me to get involved in the community.
Okay, Director D'Ambra, do you have any questions?
Yes, thank you for applying. A couple questions for you. Why didn't you come to your interview as opposed to Zoom? Was there a reason? Are you concerned? I'm just curious. My personal feeling would be I'd rather be face-to-face with you rather than this way. I think that's more, I'd be more comfortable like that, personally.
Yeah, fair question. I have worked for a company based in the San Francisco Bay Area for the last 2 years. I travel on a regular basis up to the Bay Area as well as down south to Santa Ana. So as my wife knows very well, I travel for work. We do have a small satellite office in Los Olivos that I opened up about 6 months ago. So I am home quite often, but I'm also on the road, and this happened to be when I was on the road and it was scheduled, and I try to keep on my schedule. I have a lot of responsibility at my company. I head operations for a funded startup in the battery technology charging space. So I apologize for not being in person. It's a fair question, but I wanted to make this Zoom call, and you could bet your bottom dollar I'll be at the next meeting in person.
Okay, I thought you were at home, so you're on the road. So
I'm on the road, sir. Yes.
if I would have known you were assigned on the business, I wouldn't have asked you that question. I had no reason to believe you were out somewhere else. Okay, one more question. You said you were concerned about the valley. Could you elaborate on that? Your children, we all raise children here, and they've all done well. I'm hoping yours will be even better. What was your concern about the valley?
Well, I guess, yeah, another great question. I don't know if maybe concern is the right word. I probably could have used a better one, but I'm very interested in the valley and the growth, the idea of growth and sustained growth, also traffic, and in particular in San Ynez. I don't want to get into quote unquote valley politics. I haven't been in the valley long enough to poke my nose in other people's business. I respect, people's.
You will.
Well, I mean, in all due time, but I think in particular in San Ynez, just because I live in the downtown corridor, there's just little things that started cropping up that I started paying attention to, whether it was traffic, speed, whether it was crosswalks, sidewalks. We did have the storm improvement, or it came right through Pine Street. So, understanding some the infrastructure improvements that were going on. I just was interested, and I'm a curious individual. And, you know, to me, it goes beyond just curiosity. Then I want to kind of, because my kids are there, and I think I have a more, should I say, vested interest in what's happening inside the valley, but in particular in the San Ynez a part of the valley.
Well, first of all, I'm glad that you feel that way. I think we all feel that way. I have a little statement about it. I define it. We're going to put one of these days up on the wall. The last best place in this county. That's how I define San Ynez.
Yeah, I'm happy.
All right, thank you.
Director Redfern, do you have any questions for Mr. Van Pelt?
No, you have no background in sewer or water, though. Is that correct?
No background in sewer water, no.
All right.
I have that makes me wonder something about you. What is your educational background?
Educational. I got a BA from Colorado State and industrial technology management, and I have an MBA up at Sonoma State. And I also have various other, I guess you'd say, certificates and stuff. I kind of believe in higher education constantly, so constant improvement.
That's interesting. I didn't know what your bachelor's degree was in. You say it was in industrial
technology management. It's a blended, engineering business management degree. So ended up using my undergrad, surprisingly, how life turned out, but it's come in handy.
No, it's a nice, good, broad knowledge. And I think industrial technology, you'll be ahead of me on a lot of things that we discuss here. So Director Beard, do you have any questions for Mr. Van Pelt?
Yeah, I was wondering what his current business is.
Can you explain what your current business is to Director Beard?
Yeah, absolutely. So I work for a company named Swift Mile Incorporated. We are kind of the pioneer and leading charging technology company for light electric vehicles. Light electric vehicles are virtually anything below a car, 60 volts and under. So that would be the electric scooters, the electric bikes, electric seated scooters, you name it. You know, our technology kind of is in the middle of this growing category of charging a lot of these different vehicles. And we work with a lot of cities as well as private companies. As you see, the electric vehicles are very popular and they're kind of tackling a lot of transportation issues. So I'm the chief operating officer at the company. So I handle day-to-day operations, which is quite a heavy lift right now because we do have operations, you know, kind of spanning the world. Though they're not large, we're still a startup, but you know, we have a lot of product in many countries and a lot of communication. So that's kind of a gist of the occupation that I'm in right now.
Okay, I see that your wife is in the back of the room. Would you like to make a public comment?
Yeah, I can say I'm very supportive of my husband Bradley having interest in possibly being appointed to the position. It's nice, my dad was community service leader in the valley, maybe more involving the art Caslo, and he and my dad know each other. We've been together for 13 years, my husband and I, married for 6 Monday, and 18. And so I just like to see his interest grow a lot. And it came to fruition once we started growing our own family here and deciding that we wanted to have our roots here in the valley, and particularly San Ynez. So we have lived in Spalding before. My husband's also lived in Ballard, but we really liked this area, this downtown area. I do know my husband spends a lot of time reading and researching. He's very self-motivated to learn and educate himself on multiple aspects of things. And so, you know, I sometimes give him a hard time about how much time he spends reading at night, but he makes sure he's fully makes informed decisions when it comes down to making a sound decision. So that's something that I know he would be very good at doing. I think he does have a different perspective to offer. I wouldn't be able to elaborate on that right now because I'm not sure what the position really entails, but I'm very supportive of his interest, and I make sure he was fully committed. And I'll watch the kids at night from to attend meetings and such. So we have good coordination going with our children.
Well, I think what we have here are two excellent candidates. And so it's going to be a tough choice. You're both very impressive people. So what I would like to do is maybe just get an idea from the board if there is somebody clearly going to emerge, or if we should consider scheduling a special meeting. And in that case, we could do it when Bradley is between now and the end of the month, but where Bradley can be here and you can both come and we can talk some more. But I mean, I know that I am partial to Mr. Van Pelt only because his little kids play with my and I know him. I don't know you, so I definitely am partial to him. And I also really like having somebody that is in the original 800 part of the district. Just that's a personal bias I have. And when I talked to Director D'Ambra about it today, he and I didn't agree on that. And he's, you know, we're a board and we all come with different points of view, but we work it out and work really well together. But I have concerns about having a majority of the board not being on sewer.
Well, first of all, that's irrelevant, and I don't think that belongs here. And I don't think that's a good reason to hire someone or select someone. We're all in the district, we're a team, okay? And to say, well, I want to do this and I want to do that. You also made another comment about age. That's irrelevant, okay? They're both talented. He's a sharp guy. He's a chief operating officer.
They both seem fairly young to
No,
me.
well,
Yeah,
I'm just
I don't know
saying-
that I would say,
I'm just saying,
okay, but
if you want to choose someone.
no,
or
just stop, because this is,
well,
we
you're
are all
throwing stuff
entitled,
that don't
no,
belong out
well,
there.
in your opinion. And
It
I'm
is-
telling you, in my opinion, that is something that I consider. And you don't
Well, it
have to
shouldn't.
consider
It's
that. And
discriminatory to the west side, okay? That's what it is, okay? Your people don't even want to run. He's the first guy who's running that I've ever met on the east side.
it's not your people or my people.
Well,
We're
that's
going to be a
what you-
board.
You
But
tried to
see,
split it,
but-
Karen. You tried to split it.
Okay, well, I'm not angry right now, but I think it's okay to have different points of view here. And it's something that is worth
Well,
mentioning.
It
to me.
is, as long as they're based on substance, okay? Not on personal, well, he's younger, I'd like to get young blood in
I don't,
here. I think you did say that. Okay, you said it to me.
okay,
And
I
then
thought we were talking about in the meeting, but
okay,
I
and then
do
on the
like
other point,
diversity on a
you know
board.
what?
And that's a
I
discussion we
feel
can
this way,
have.
I would flip a coin, okay? I'm right down the middle. I'll flip a coin. I could go either one. I know either one will do a hell of a job, but I just don't like the fact, well, we want to get more people on this side. Now that's breaking up the whole. Your intent is to break up the whole. It's not.
That is not what I am saying, and we
You
may
want more
not,
people on sewer.
you're using kind of an
We
angry
give
tone
you
with
more,
me.
Karen, we give you more not being on sewer because we're here and we fight harder than the people who live in your little community to save them money, to do a good job. Do we not?
Well, I don't know
I
that I
don't
would
get
agree with
anything out
that,
of
and I think
this.
you're getting really
Well,
emotional.
I am getting emotional because you keep throwing these little zingers out that are irrelevant to the substance.
In your
and the
opinion.
substance, in my opinion,
Yeah.
yes.
Because
So-
to me, that is a relevant thing. So we can move on. I think you made yourself clear. I have. I would like to hear from Director Redfern.
I would like to have another meeting. Well, maybe one I can attend to meet both candidates. I think they're both great. So
Yeah, as do I, and I like
Hey
that.
Frank, how do you feel about flipping a coin?
I don't think that's fair to either person, flipping a coin.
Well, let me ask you, I'm just personally, while I got you on the horn here, you got two excellent, outstanding gentlemen wanting to do it, because how else would you do it? I mean, if you
Well,
think they're parallel, one has some.
I think that a meeting would help.
Pardon?
I think that a meeting or just meeting with both of them would be very beneficial. Find out a little more about them, see if we can work, who we work best with. That, it would be good for Mr. Van Pelt to meet with all of us and also Barry. This Zoom thing is very difficult.
It is.
I would like to meet in a meeting. I think that would be our best bet. It doesn't
Okay.
have to be a long meeting. We could probably do it in 30 minutes.
Real quick, I just want to throw this out there since I've heard it from a couple of members about a meeting next week. It looks like we have availability all week next week. If we want to put a meeting together, we're going to do a special meeting. We put the agenda out tomorrow. That would give us enough time to have the meeting any day next week.
How about Mr. Van Pelt? We got to accommodate him because
What day is?
can he pull it off?
Can you repeat the day, the proposed date?
Be the 25th through the 29th.
I can make myself available any of those days. I'm flexible enough.
I know.
Yeah, and if we
You say
can't
the
make it,
25th or the 29th?
Yes, sir.
The 25th through the 29th.
I'm on the.
I'm not available on the 25th, but I'm available the rest of the week.
okay, so the 29th.
Want to do, well, that's a
When that's a
Friday.
Friday, so we
You
go
wanna
to
do
the.
In between, so anytime in between there was what they're saying.
You want to do the 27th, which is a Wednesday?
Sure. How about Mr. White and Mr. Van Pelt? Would you be available
Same
on,
time, 5:30.
yeah, 5:30 on the 25th?
27th.
Oh, 27th. Would that work for you?
And that's Wednesday, just to clarify, Wednesday, the
Yes.
27th at 5. Yeah,
Wednesday, January 27th at 5:30.
yes, I could make myself available. Happy to make myself available.
Okay,
So if we have no further comment, we motion to extend it to set up a special meeting for Wednesday, the 27th.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
okay, Wendy?
Okay, so we have a motion by Director Beard and a second by Director Deambra to hold a special meeting to interview both candidates on Wednesday, January 27th at 5:30. We'll do a roll call vote. Director Beard?
Aye.
Director Jones?
Aye.
Director Deambra?
Aye.
Director Redford?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, well, I thank you both for being available this evening. And I like that we have a problem of, two good candidates. So we will see you next week, Wednesday at 5:30.
Can I hang out a little bit more?
Yes, you certainly, yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh.
So with that being said, we'll move on to action item B, which is Minister oath of office and the new plan director. That item will be removed and voided as.
Table till next meeting. And it is my desire to resolve this at the next meeting, because I would like to still meet that deadline no matter what's going on. The county isn't our boss. Okay, so very good. On to the next item, which is item C, Horizon Drive Mainline Project updates. And for those of you that are staying in the meeting, this is our key project we're working on right now, is getting sewer to the residents on Horizon Drive. So General Manager Acosta.
So just to reiterate what President Jones mentioned, is Horizon Drive is in the forefront of what we want to get accomplished here. My number one priority and my goal as a general manager. So we frequently discuss Horizon Drive throughout the agenda, and you'll hear several items regarding Horizon Drive tonight. This item is the usual monthly updates on Horizon Drive. And tonight we'll be discussing the loan application for the SRF loan, the easement procurement, the monitoring wells, and the engineering services that are being rendered for the Horizon Drive project. On the loan application, all the paperwork was submitted in time to meet the December 31st deadline. And our project manager has informed me that she's anticipating sending over the priority scoring worksheet by the end of this week. I actually had another conversation with her, she's hoping to have it by the end of the week, which the priority scoring worksheet will list how the state will be scoring and ranking of the project. It may not have a final ranking, but it will let you know where you would rank based off of the points that you accumulate. So I'll have that information available for the next board meeting, and give an update on that once I hear back from her.
Okay, very good.
On the easements, the easement deed paperwork for the Lee property was reviewed and signed by Ms. Lee. So she's accepted the offer. She signed the acceptance letter. The acceptance letter has been signed by the general manager and returned to her as the.
Who was that? I'm sorry, I
Ms.
missed it.
Lee.
Okay.
So the Lee property has been agreed to on the easement. The deed has not been finalized and will not be filed until the board approves the project and we receive funding for the project. As we agreed back in July that that would be the process of finalizing the easements. The Hart property easement agreement has been delivered, and currently the Harts are reviewing the proposal. Ms. Hart had surgery a couple weeks ago and she's recovering, so we've been slow to reach out to her. And when I say we, Hamner and Jewel has maintained communication, and they've asked for a couple of days for her to recover and for them to review the process and the agreement as well. On the Larson property, the appraisal has been forwarded and the offer package has been presented to Mrs. Larson. Staff did conduct a visit with Mrs. Larson this past week on the 14th, last Thursday. I seem to feel like it was a productive meeting. We answered all her initial questions from the first visit we had back in August, and we answered even more questions this time. We presented them with the plans that they were asking for on the project, and we discussed some other concerns that Ms. Larson had at the time. She seemed to speak that she was willing to sign the agreement. Didn't say she was for sure, but it just kind of sounded that way. I was optimistic about that. But reaching out to her today, Hamner and Jewel, she seems to be a little reluctant still, but said reach out to her next week and she will have an answer for them. So they plan to reach out to her next week as well. She expressed the same concerns that she's expressed to Director DeAmber when he made his visits, and the same concerns she expressed to us on both our visits as well. We do understand she has those same concerns. We try to assure her and remind her rest that we're going to work around her concerns. Some of her primary concerns are the early morning hours of the construction starting. We can try to put into the contract that when they're on her property that they work within certain hours. We also reminded her that doing that limits the contractor and could prolong the amount of time that they are on her property. But it's worth allowing her to have some peace of mind by doing that. So that was one of her concerns.
Judy,
Yes,
is it
sir.
fair to say you had a good feeling, your gut feeling with her?
Yes, we had a very good feeling, and Wendy, can you concur on that as well?
Yeah.
And we also had engineer Mike Kilborn at the meeting, so he can answer some of the technical questions.
Good job.
One thing Ms. Larson did, she inquired with some questions that staff was not approved to make a recommendation or approve them that were not done. So she asked maybe to have a meeting with the board, and we explained to her she could come to the board meeting. Her concern is, a bigger environment, a room with more people. So a suggestion may be forming a wastewater committee meeting or an ad hoc committee where there's minimal board members or minimal audience, and allow for all Horizon Drive residents to maybe direct their concerns or questions toward the board and bring it back to the board as a whole. One of her inquiries was regarding the capacity charges and the fees that she would have to pay for the connection. That's not something that staff is authorized to negotiate or discuss, so that would have to be a board decision.
But she was, asking to waive or?
To negotiate the price for the capacity charge.
Connection.
Mrs.
I would
Larson
say
was
that-
doing that?
Yes,
There's a
sir.
little larceny in that name.
And she was good about it. She was very nice about it. So my recommendation would be for the board to maybe form the wastewater, form a meeting committee for them, but also, or an ad hoc, which is a smaller meeting. And, but I would say invite all members of Horizon Drive that they all can voice.
I think that's an excellent idea,
And-
especially if we get closer.
Yes, we have to treat everybody the same, and we've been through this where people have asked for special considerations, and the law is very specific where that can happen, so.
And we answered that specifically is that we are not authorized and we would not make that decision determination for that process. So
The wastewater committee, the standing committee has not met, so, that's something we can talk about also, but yeah, however you want to do
and
it.
you guys can make that decision either tonight or later on as well.
I think it would be best because the wastewater, you could do it, but I think it's best to form an ad hoc committee for specifics for Horizon Drive. And then once Horizon Drive project is over, then it's dissolved.
Okay, and then, what is the timeline for that? Does it need to happen now, or is that premature? Like, should we do it soon, or is that something we can do in 6 weeks?
Close.
Okay,
And,
Well, an ad hoc committee is 6 months?
Yes.
or however long it takes to do it, it could be 1
Yeah.
minute.
Extend it.
That's if you have an ad hoc committee that's for a very short term, like, after tonight, if you guys finalize the, evaluation,
It's done.
it's done, and then so an ad hoc that's not active is for 6 months.
So, forming the ad hoc committee would be beneficial, as well as if any other concerns come up, we can always call an ad hoc committee meeting, and allow the citizens to come in and discuss any topics.
Oh, okay, well, let's go with that. Who would like to be on that ad hoc committee?
I'd like to be on that ad hoc committee.
And how about Director Redfern?
Anybody?
Well, he's very familiar with it, and so, yeah, I think he would be great. So, do we need a motion?
You need to ask Redfern.
He said yes.
Oh,
You just, yes.
Okay, so that will be part of the motion once we close up the rest of the.
Okay.
The next thing we want to discuss is the monitoring wells. Both monitoring wells have been in place. Obviously, we've had no major rain events, but even after the last major rain event that we did have, there was no measurable rain or standing water within these monitoring wells. I do want to remind everybody that this is for measuring, and it's not a quantification, because we don't know what we're going to get when we get near one of the septic tanks, or what could be standing in some of those clay pools out there. But this is a good guidance of if we're going to encounter groundwater along the construction. But neither one of them is experiencing any standing groundwater at this time. We have some storm coming in next week, so we'll continue monitoring for that as well.
Can I ask a question?
Mr. President?
Sorry.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
I was reading this online today, and I read where Mr. Walpole had said that he was digging down, like I think installing a fence post, and he ran into running water. So I just wondered how that played into this.
So at the time, I believe he said he was digging a fence post, and he got down about 2 feet and ran into running water. And one of the reasons why this was brought to the attention of the staff was there was also another project where one of the residents had someone come out and dig near their septic tank and ran into groundwater at 5 feet. So we anticipate that if you're close to a septic tank, you're probably going to encounter some groundwater. Not sure where Mr. Wapple was digging at the time, but could have been during a heavy rainstorm or right after a rainstorm as well. That's why we decided to go this route of putting these monitoring wells in to see if we're going to encounter.
One of the reasons this is a problem area is because there is a lot of water there, and the people on Horizon have many stories like that. So just for using an abundance of caution, we decided to put the monitoring wells in so we didn't get any big surprises.
We knew we were gonna have to do a lot of pumping in order to get the sewer lines in. You know, we had to pump water, dig the holes, pump the water, put the lines in, backfill. That was the whole purpose of the monitoring.
Yes, and obviously that just begets more questions, like we say. I mean, I don't know when you done the whole, was it during the last rainy season, was it the middle of summer when the water table was low, so.
We just did the last month.
Yes.
Okay.
We just put our monitoring well plan in last. Not sure when he was digging.
Gotcha.
And our goal is to start construction in June-ish. So we'll be through the rainy season, so we're gonna be monitoring it through the rainy season, so we'll be able to guide if there's any water, and we can at least have, the documentation for the contractor to say, we monitored it for 8 months, and we have this much water or no water, so he can be prepared for the, they could be prepared.
And the sewer line diameter size is?
8-inch diameter. Will be down to the ground between 14 and 25 feet.
And is this public comment that we're doing now?
That's what I was making sure.
Yeah. So have we finished with the staff report?
I have not. So
Okay, and I'm going to open it up for more public comment. No, appreciate your questions. Good to be informed, but I'd like our GM to get through his report.
So the next topic is engineering services. Staff and legal counsel and the district engineer discussed the bid documents. They've been reviewed and getting finalized. We're hoping to have those completed and ready for presentation at the March board meeting for the board to approve the bid documents. Get them out shortly after. Attaches a quick timeline of what we're looking forward to on getting bid documents and for the project. like I say, get the RFP released in March after the March board meeting. Conduct a mandatory pre-bid walk where we get the contractors in, they mandatorily have to walk this job site and observe it, that way they can compile a complete RFP. That'll be completed the first couple of weeks of April. Then, I take that back, I'm sorry, yes, early to mid-April. The final bids will be due by Friday, May 7th, where we'll do a public opening of the bids and announce the price for the bids as well. And then we're hoping to award the contract to the selected contractor at the May 2021 board meeting. So at that, on May 7th, we'll open the bid, staff will review them for completeness, thoroughness, like we've done with other RFPs, and we'll present them to the board for the board to review as well. And then we'll make a decision and award that package. It may be beneficial or savvy to have a finance committee meeting prior to the board meeting as well that following week. That way the finance committee can review them a little more thoroughly, ask some questions prior to coming to the board meeting, so it doesn't put too much pressure on them.
And they'll be prepared to start in June.
And that's the hope, is to award the contract in the May board meeting and commence construction in June.
Excuse me, on the contract when it's bid, is it gonna have a range of start dates? Because I could, if we're thinking June, the reality could be July, August, we could actually be closing in on the next wet season coming at us. What is, so I'm just thinking, when they write the contract, will they have to have a window of time to start?
Yeah, so what we typically do is we'll put in the contract of what date we want them to complete the project within. And any construction contract, you usually ask for a mandatory timeline as well from the contractor, where they submit their timeline of anticipated projects, and they'll say, okay, mobilization is set up this week, observing, and, reconnaissance and all that this week, and so they'll set up a timeline as well for us when they get ready to bid contracts, which will give us a better understanding of the timeline. We're anticipating hopefully June through October. Contractor can come in here and say, you guys are out of your mind, and there's no way we can get this completed by October, but we'll have a better understanding at that time. Just want to let the board know, staff did send out a monthly letter to the Horizon Drive residents, gave them a timeline on the project, and we're anticipating doing that on a monthly basis.
Very good.
That concludes this staff report.
Okay, now, are there any public comments on the staff report you just heard?
Good.
Okay,
Very, very nice, very professional, very comprehensive.
Thank you.
You did a good job. I'm proud of you. I really am. I like it. That's the Jose Acosta I like.
But this time I need a motion.
yes, well, that's where I was going to go next. So we didn't have any public comment. So the motion that we're looking for, if I look at, because we need to put in our,
To form an ad hoc committee for the purposes of sewer on Horizon Drive with directors D'Ambra and Director Redfern as the ad hoc committee.
So moved. Make a motion
Okay.
as stated.
and so do we have a second?
You want to second it? I'll second it.
Director D'Ambra seconds.
Okay. So we have a motion by Director Beard and a second by Director D'Ambra to form an ad hoc committee for the purposes of sewer on Horizon Drive with the members of Director D'Ambra and Director Redfern. We'll do a roll call vote. Director Beard.
Aye.
Director Jones.
Aye.
Director D'Ambra.
Aye.
Director Redfern.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, now we're going to go on to action item D, which is the mid-year budget report. So,
All right, so this is the mid-year budget for July through December, and we usually bring it to the board in January to review the first 6 months of the fiscal year. There are a couple of budget adjustments because we've had expenses that we didn't quite anticipate. The district did receive its property tax money, which totals $649,386 for the sewer fees, which was 11% higher than what was projected. We received $107,762 for the property tax, which is 16% increase than what was projected. But interest income has decreased 16%, and we've received 56% of all our revenue. So we're on track with all our revenue. We'll be getting more money than what we anticipated, so that's always good. The administration expenses are currently at 40%, which is under the 50% halfway mark, which is really good. The building expense is 52%, which is slightly over the 50% mark from the utilities being higher than usual and an increased insurance. The way I do the insurance is I break it down, property and liability, I break it down for each department. And then the utilities are for PG&E and water for the building. The operation budget expenses at 52% from an increase in insurance, uniforms, and pump station repairs. We had some pump station repairs at the Golden Inn and the 246 pump station that we didn't know, I didn't project it for the budget. And we also have, to date, we spent for this year $44,284 on Horizon Drive, which will be reimbursed when they connect. The
When they
budget
connect or when the
adjustment-
loan comes in.
Pardon?
They'll be reimbursed when they connect or reimbursed when the loans come in, when the loan comes in.
Well, both. Like when the loan comes in, then that's part of our payback.
Right.
And then when they connect, we'll pay the loan back.
Okay.
So the budget adjustments that I'm asking for are for building utilities.
Which line items are those?
Pardon?
Which lines are those or counts?
Building utilities is in the building. It's 52290. For $100, we'll make it 6,000. The total budget would be 6,000. For uniforms, it's 55015, asking for 400, which will bring the budget total to 1,500. And then for insurance in operations, the 55070, asking for 6,000 to bring the budget to 26,000. Pardon? Oh, yeah. This been a rough week.
It happens.
And that's it.
Okay. Do we have any questions of Wendy?
Yes.
I do not hear any. So, are there any public comments regarding the budget?
Mr. White?
No.
I see none.
Online?
I don't see anybody wanting to, so then we shall close the public comment and have a discussion, and then we're looking for a motion to approve. Let's see, how is it worded here? To approve the mid-year budget report with budget adjustments. So any further discussion, or can I get a motion to approve?
The only one question I do have is how are we doing with Chumash operations with them having a
It's lower than what we projected.
But they are open and operating, right?
well, the hotel was closed. I think.
Yeah, to date, for the wastewater treatment plant, the expenses have been 210,000 and I projected 368. And with the tribe, 24,000 is what to date, and I projected 38.
You projected that under normal operating conditions. I
Yes.
think. So I guess the COVID is the wrench in the machinery.
Right. That's why I was projecting for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
To see where we stood budget wise.
And it kind of depends on, we could not have COVID, and if the plant is running spectacularly and they have no repairs, then, that would also decrease it. But they've been pretty busy over
We just did a major project with replacing some of the
there.
membranes there. That's it. Very interesting project to see. I went out there and watched them do it. So. Some clean work out there.
Okay. I make a motion that we approve the budget.
Okay,
With budget adjustment?
With budget adjustments.
Okay.
I'll second.
All right. We have a motion by Director Beard and a second by Director Gamber to approve the mid-year budget report with budget adjustments. We'll do a roll call vote. Director Beard?
Aye.
Director Jones?
aye.
Director Gamber?
Aye.
Director Redfern?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, and now we will go to 6F. Approval of proposed auditing services. And I will,
Sorry, Madam President.
Yes.
oh, excuse me, jumped ahead. Approval of 10-year capital improvement plan.
Yes.
So 6E, and that will be General Manager Acosta.
Yes. So tonight, the board is being presented with the district 10-year CIP capital improvement plan. And there's also a attachment here from the city of Salt Lake's 10-year capital improvement plan. Both plans should be finalized and completed tonight with any recommendations by the board, so that we can also submit these to the financial consultant so that he can complete his rate study as well. So I want to review some of the items. I do want to make the point that the 10-year CIP plan was presented to the finance committee. The finance committee made some recommendations, which are included on this updated report from that meeting as well.
Okay, and the Finance Committee is Director Beard and,
Director Deanna.
okay.
Yes. So first, some of the items on the CIP list for future projects. One is the force main bracing. We currently have a main line that runs along 246 that crosses through the property along the fire station there for the casino, for the Chumash. And there's an embankment there that's been eroding for many years now. And it's getting, we don't know how close it is exactly to our main line there, but it is a force main line that needs to be reinforced. So this is the project that we would go in there, reinforce that embankment, whether it's driving pillars in the ground, backfilling to ensure that the erosion doesn't happen, or we reroute the main line across the highway back to the north side of the highway, west, and then back down south to the highway, which is not the preferred method by staff or by some of the members of the finance committee as well. It's probably more cost conducive if we did that.
Director Redfern has a question.
Yes.
You know, this is a problem that I discovered 20 years ago, and it'd be interesting to see how much is eroded since I first saw that when Bonnie Otterman was administrator. It would be interesting to see how much is eroded away and, you know, how quickly we need to work on that. Just because it's been 20 years and nothing's happened.
Yes, Redfern. Craig brought that to my attention that it was exposed 20 years ago, and so with something that's been in the works, we reviewed some of the past correspondences between the CSD and Caltrans, and Caltrans basically back then said it's not our problem, and so what we're going to do is, if you read the board report, we're going to make this a collaborative effort, reach back out to Caltrans, express to them that this is a problem that they need to work with us on, and if they are not willing to work with us, we're going to have to take the lead on the project and get this completed to protect our assets and ensure the safety of the public. And we're also looking at discussing this with the Chumash, as well as at some point in the past, they've expressed some willingness to financially assist with this project as well. So it's going to be a collaborative effort, we're hoping. And again, if we don't get any collaboration or cooperation with Caltrans, that we're going to have to take the lead on this project and move forward to protect our assets. Craig did mention that there is some severe erosion since 20 years ago, that he has seen it just slough off every year since then. What I can do is take some pictures as well, and maybe send them to the board, that way you can see how much erosion has occurred since your tenure here.
So when and if we do that project, how are we going to move all the effluent to Solvang? Are we putting in a temporary force main? Are we trucking it? I mean, it's going to be a huge expense because that's a project that I would assume would take over 10 days.
That's exactly correct, and that's why that is not the preferred method, redirecting the line. The preferred method would be to reinforce that embankment and keep the line in play and not have to reroute any of the sewage to the city of Salt Lake.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop by and take a look and see, just to fulfill my own curiosity of what I saw 20 years ago and what I see today.
And if you wouldn't mind maybe sharing that information with staff as well, so that way we understand your historical knowledge on this and what you see today.
You know what,
Absolutely.
also, I'm sorry to interrupt. One thing that I think would be helpful is something that we talked about when Director D'Ambra and I met with you. I think that would be a wonderful thing if you could arrange a time where you and General Manager Acosta went out and looked at it together. That would be, because we really do like the board and the GM getting to know each other, and that might be an opportunity to do that. Plus, he would have the benefit of your experience with that problem.
We could do that. That would be easy.
Okay.
So get a hold of me, Mr. Redfern, let me know your availability, and I'll make sure I'm available, and we'll go out there and visit that site.
Sounds good.
Thank you, great
Good idea.
suggestion, I appreciate
Yes, it
that.
was excellent suggestion. Glad I thought of it.
The next item on the CIP list,
Hold on, I just need to clarify, when Bob and I aren't screaming at each other, we're actually kind of flirtatious. I don't know what it means. Okay, proceed with the meeting.
the next item on the future projects for the CIP list is the sewer camera. As staff report says, the sewer camera has been in place for around 20 years now. Staff has made modifications, kept the camera intact by doing in-house repairs, electrical repairs. The unit was initially a VHS recording device, and we obviously don't have that capability or need anymore. So they've upgraded it to try to be able to put it onto a hard drive, be able to download it for viewing and recording purposes. That's a makeshift scenario situation right now. So what the CSD is hoping to purchase a new camera system, but utilizing the same trailer that we currently have and not purchasing some extravagant unit that's going to cost an exuberant amount of money. So we're hoping to upgrade the unit we have with the modern day technology, and hopefully the modern day technology will give us features such as enhanced video, up-to-date recording, expanded data storage and transfer capabilities, and possible line locating with the camera when it's down in the ground, getting some depth on it and getting exact locations of where these laterals are or how long the main lines are and stuff like that. We're looking to minimize and not spend so much money on the desire and the wish, obviously, for staff and other organizations is to get the big band with the nice unit inside, but we don't see that need and we don't see that requirement here with the CSD. Not something that we utilize in that capacity or that often, that we need that big of technology. So
And is that something that Solvang also needs? Is that something that could somehow?
I believe the CSD has a unit. They never use it. From what I understood the last time I talked to them, they rarely go out and videotape their system. They have a unit as well. I don't believe that it's something that they would use from us, and for what we use it for, I don't know if we want to necessarily loan it out that often. I mean, I know we have helped those Alamo CSD, they're a smaller system, so we're willing to help people like that.
Yes, Director Redfern has a comment.
Yes, sir.
Way back in the years when I worked for the sewer district, we used to rent from Glida a beautiful hydrovac truck, and it came with an operator. So I didn't get to destroy it or play with it. He was an experienced person who operated it. And we did all our hydrovacing. It was very, very affordable. I don't think it cost us $3,000 at the time to flush 50% of our lines. We would get it for 3 or 4 days a year, and we'd do all the flushing. Of course, the maintenance was less in those days. We didn't have as long as runs. The system was newer. However, I've seen on the list, you're looking for a camera. Isn't there, we can't make an agreement with Solvang, Galita, or somebody to use some of their equipment when we need it. Maybe we need an operator also.
I like the way you're
Especially
thinking.
on the hydrovac.
Just rent it is what you're talking about.
Right, Solvang has a big hydrovac. I mean, you don't see it going around town 24/7 for sure. It's a big truck. It would definitely do our lines. It's an expense, that after 20 years, we're looking to get a new one. It's great, but we have one 5 miles away. To me, that's repetitive cost. It's somewhere where we could be cutting some corners.
I think it's
great
worth
that everybody has a
investigating.
fire truck, but I don't think everybody needs a fire truck sort of a deal.
So really quick, Director Radford, that's a great suggestion. And what we did do is we reached out to, and it wasn't City of Sullivan, but we reached out to another entity that we have a close working relationship with, which is Vandenberg Village Community Services District. And they gave us some prices for rental of their camera system, which is the hydrovacing is a separate unit. And Wendy, what were those figures? So it's $100 an hour for use of the system and the operator. You looked at $100 an hour, and I think we estimated it was going to take maybe 2 weeks, so 80 hours. You're looking at $8,000 to rent that unit. We would pay off the unit within 4 or 5 years if we owned it ourselves. Relying on another entity as well would put us at their beck and call, mercy of when they're available to perform these services. And it will also not allow us to be able to use the equipment in the event of an emergency. So I know those are.
Wait a minute. You quoted Vandenberg Village for 100. What'd they say? 100 hours or 80 hours?
80 hours at $100 an hour.
To do what? Camera?
Yes, the camera.
But nobody cameras for 80 hours. I mean, that's 80 hours to run all our lines. We don't do, I bet you don't do that with yours, the old one. You probably don't run it for 80 hours. You run it when you have a problem or you need to check an area.
You're correct. We don't do that, but that is a goal of mine to ensure that we do this on an annual basis and understand and have a better understanding of our system. And
I understand that.
Sorry?
I understand that. But the truth is we don't need most likely 80 hours nonstop. I'm betting if you used it 20 hours straight in a year, that would be closer to average. Do we have a time? How much time do we have on the clock, do we have a time on the camera that is now outdated that we bought 20 years ago? Do we know the run times on it? Does it have a meter on it?
I do not know that answer. I don't believe it does. It's outdated equipment that probably didn't come equipped with that. This is an item that's looking to be purchased in the future year or two. We have it listed as next year. We can keep it on the CIP list and remove it when we review the CIP list again. This is again something that we're anticipating doing. And when we bring this list back, we can do some more homework if the board provides us that direction to go get more quotes and estimates from other entities to utilize their equipment.
Okay.
The next thing would also be is City of Solvang is hurting for dollars right now. And I'll bet you they'd be interested in, or at least it'd be interesting to know what they'd be renting their equipment to us for.
Or even knowing exactly what they have, and if it's an expense we can share somehow, because we're two small towns, and
Right.
that would be something that would be possibly a cost savings. Just find out where we're at with Solvang, since they're already in our partners in this.
We would need direction if we're going to keep it on the CIP list or if we want to remove that from the CIP list.
Well, I think we need to keep it on there until we have a better alternative, but keeping it on there doesn't mean we're going to stop looking for better solutions and things that make sense.
Correct.
Do you agree with that, Director Redfern?
Yes.
Is that a good way to go? Okay, then,
Perfect.
yes.
So the next item on there is we have vehicle replacement. We have one vehicle replacement that was approved with the budget and should be brought back to the board for final approval for this fiscal year. And then we have a vehicle replacement for a few years from now to replace the second vehicle. Both those vehicles are in here for $60,000. So what we've done is we've taken the vehicle in to get reviewed and diagnosed by a local agency. Some of their prices on their quotes are high and probably not something that we would pursue. For example, is, Director D'Ambra and I discussed the seat. They quoted that at about $2,700. That is not something you would pursue with them at that price tag. You would go to a professional upholsterer and get a lower price tag for that. But the vehicle does have some mechanical issues, and so that's why the staff felt a need to replace that vehicle this fiscal year. If that's something that we don't want to do, and we want to push it off another fiscal year, that would be direction we would need to be able to adjust the CIP list as well.
Can you hear any better, Director Redburn?
I can't hear him right now, but he's not talking.
Yes. Okay. Well, I don't know if this is going to help to turn.
So do we have any questions on the current vehicle? So the current vehicle replacement is, we're looking for a 4-wheel drive, and I know it's rare that we utilize the 4-wheel drive, but it's imperative when it is needed immediately in an emergency. So that's one reason why they wanted the 4-wheel drive. And the one major concern on this vehicle is the gauges on the dashboard sporadically will go on and off and act up. And that was one of the major costs on this project, which was close to $900.
What are the total expenses on this page?
The total expenses on repairs quoted through Rio Vista Chevrolet was $7,500 for this current vehicle.
And that's what year and model?
That is currently the 2004, and it's a extended cab 4-wheel drive. Is it a 4-wheel drive? No, it's not.
I don't think.
Can we get a second quote from another licensed mechanic shop? I mean, Rio Vista is about as expensive as you can go.
No, we did not. At this time, we received this one quote. We went and took it in to get diagnosed there, as they're the primary diagnosis and repair service shop that we use for the vehicles here at the CSD.
And how many miles are on that truck?
On the 2014, there are currently
2014 or 24?
04, I apologize. 04, there's currently 55,000 miles on it.
I got 318,568 miles on my 2004 Toyota, and I'll take it anywhere. At 55,000 miles, you've been around, I don't know. You know how I feel about that.
I think if we took it anywhere but a dealer, we'd probably get the price down to around 4,500 or 5,000. But yeah, I find those prices a little inflated.
Those prices are insanely inflated. Frank, Jose and I looked at the driver's quarter where you get out. They quoted 2,700. There's nothing but a little foam under there. I had the same thing done on my truck. It was $280.
Right.
Same like that, and they actually did more because they sewed up other things. So Rio Vista was going to sub it out to an upholsterer and then just goose up the price on that. So I think it's well taken what you said about get a couple competitive bids.
From someone who does auto repair and not
Specific.
selling cars.
Yes,
I don't.
specific talent. That truck, in addition, we're gonna have to put a bed on it too.
That truck will need a bed, yes,
And so,
and a crane.
okay, so we're at 60K for the truck, open bed truck. No bed on the back,
We're
right?
looking at 60K hopefully with everything.
With everything.
Yes.
That's the bed.
We did receive some quotes and for a regular cab 4x4 1-ton gas, this is with no bed, for $33,000. And that's just the truck alone with no beds. We're anticipating possibly up to $27,000 to build a bed, put a crane on there, and have a complete truck.
And that's for a Chevy?
Yes, sir.
We looked at Ford.
No, we have not went out and gotten more bids. This was just an initial proposal to present to the board of dollars where we could stand. as we do with any project, any purchase, since I've been here and Wendy's aware as well, we're gonna make sure we go out and get quite a few quotes, not just rely on one dealership, one entity. We wanna shop local, but we also know local isn't always the cheapest. We'll also reach out to our fleet management system and get quotes from them as well. Our goal is to make sure we purchase in a financial smart process. So that's what we're looking at, and if we get approved to move forward, then we would come back to the board with some more quotes and provide a better understanding of what we're looking at purchasing. Some of the things is, for example, they want a crew cab. I don't feel we need a crew cab, so that would be a cost cutter there. I don't see a reason to have a crew cab truck. We have 3 employees that would be on the field at a time. And if you're responding to emergency, you're gonna have 1 employee respond, then a second employee will probably respond in a separate truck anyway. So
How many manholes do we have that we need a 4-wheel drive for?
from what I understand, there are only a few areas that we reach out to utilize a 4-wheel drive.
Do we have a boat?
I'm sorry?
Do we have a boat?
A boat.
A boat with a motor? Because we have a lot of manholes that go right down the Los Alamos Creek, not to mention the one that comes through town. If we have 1 or 2 manholes we're getting a 4-wheel drive for, shouldn't we have a boat so we can get to manholes during a flood? It doesn't make sense to me.
I understand what you're saying, Director Redfern, and when we talked about the 4-wheel drive before, it's something that is a little hard to justify based on the size and the scope of what our collection system is. I know that there is some, unlikely, unforeseen thing that could possibly warrant it, but I understand
This
what
town's
Director
full of
Redfern
4-wheel
said.
drives. It's full of 4-wheel drives. You could go to the neighbor and say, we're having an emergency. We need a 4-wheel drive this one time. Can you help us out? I bet you would have one. You'd have a dozen of them in minutes.
I volunteer mine.
I just don't see that we need that piece of equipment or that big. I mean, we might need a new truck, a 1-ton flatbed. I don't see where we need the 4-wheel drive. The wear and tear on it, just for use daily, is excessive. I think they're cool to drive around in town in, but I don't think we need one.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. So once again, when we get to this kind of situation, do we leave it in and then
I'd
talk
leave it
about
in
the
now.
details? Because we're not approving buying any certain thing right now. It's a placeholder.
think
But I
we-
agree with you, Director Redfern, and I will have to be further convinced that we need a 4-wheel drive truck. Just like I would need further convincing that we need a new state-of-the-art camera when maybe that could be one that's shared with or rented. So yeah, but I'm for leaving them in for now. It's something we could potentially need. But to make the case to me, I'm going to need more evidence that we need these things.
Understood. We'll leave the vehicle in. I do want to make you aware that one of them was approved for this budget year. If board wants to move that to next budget fiscal year, so that way we have more time to discuss this and make presentations to the board, we can make that change tonight on the CIP list. That's something that the board wants to do.
I got a thought on that. I would probably like to extend it out the next year, and the reason being, we don't know truly what we're facing on horizon. That might be substantially higher, the old change order coming in, or hey, we didn't anticipate, oh, we found Chumash burial ground. I mean, I just think it would be prudent. The truck is running fine. It may not be real pretty, but then again, neither am I. So I have other other things that work good for me. But my point here is, it would reduce a potential issue, a cost issue, if we have some cost overruns, substantial cost overruns. I would say $100,000 is not a substantial cost overrun on a project like that. And then that might just be the beginning, or, oh my God, we found this, so we can't do this. The engineer, fingers start getting pointed, costs start going through the roof. And the bottom line on that is we have 6, if I'm not mistaken, who are willing to hook up immediately. So we could have a substantial amount of fund outlays out there in the field with no return on investment. And this, well, I'm not saying put it away, I'm just saying, let's extend it till after Horizon. I think that's just.
I think we can leave it the way it is right now and then discuss it later.
Yeah,
I like that.
After Horizon.
After Horizon
is
and-
completed. And
Okay.
see where we are financially, and it can always be pushed out. This is just a projection. and
Yes.
this is so that we can do a rate study.
yes, it is, that's right, gotcha.
So
The next one is the Stadium Way mainline replacement. That's a project that's included on the future CIP list. It's included next year, which I think is a very optimistic forecast. Not sure that we would get to it. When the initial survey was sent to residents along with the Horizon Drive project, the Stadium Way residents weren't very interested. The board decided to move forward with Horizon Drive alone and not include Stadium Drive in there. So this is the projected line holder for the stadium line project, which would be $1 million in that for next fiscal year. That's where we are with that one. Any questions on that? Okay, on the west side extension projects, that's something that's out there for a few years for the fiscal year 25-26. We initially had that, I believe, at 1.5 million, but based on where we are with Horizon alone and discussion with the finance committee, we moved that up to $2 million, which again, the finance committee said, and we agree that that may not even be enough once we get up to that portion of it, but at least there's a placeholder there. That way the rate study can be completed.
I figure that's about 2 blocks for 2 million over there. That would be expensive.
I'll ask that question when we get to Horizon. I'll wait on this question that I have.
The solvent wastewater treatment plant upgrades, those figures are based off of the CIP list, which is attached as well for the city of Solvang. As you can see that those are forecasted each year, and each one's explained on the CIP list for the city of Solvang for those projects.
I'm not seeing. Where is it in relation to ours?
It's right in the next page.
Well,
Okay, this is them.
Yes.
Okay.
The next one, another future project that our operations supervisor pointed out is manhole cover replacement along Highway 246. This replacement will include replacing of the manholes, replacing the silk gaskets, and possible relining of these manholes. These are manholes that run along 246, and at times we get odor issues and complaints. So we have them outfitted with covers that are sealed and lined in there to prevent any damage to these manholes as well. So this is a project that we're looking at hopefully completing in the future. And again, we have that for fiscal year 22-23. And the estimated amount that we discussed was about $35,000 to complete approximately 6 of these manholes.
And these are not smart covers. These are just,
These are just regular steel
Okay.
manholes.
So are we still having gas problems there? Is that hydrochloric acid that's eating them up, the gas from our drop manhole? I thought that issue had been taken care of.
Every once in a while, we'll get a call that we have some odor issues, and it's usually in the morning hours when the home,
The flow slow?
yes, when they turn on right away in the morning, it seems to give some odor issues, so we have to inject the ferrochloride to make sure that we're combating those issues. So, and some of the gaskets on these have started to deteriorate, and we're concerned with some of the lining on the manholes. That's why we want to get this reevaluated and completed in the next years. We don't anticipate any major damage within the next couple of years, but we want to be ahead of it. That's why we're anticipating 3 years getting them completed.
What part of 246?
This is 246 as you pass the Friendship House, which is toward going west.
Okay.
So the liner that is to protect the cement in the manholes from gas, is that correct? And that's
Yes.
what we're looking at replacing?
Yes,
Well, it's been replaced twice when I worked there at very considerable expense. Maybe we need to look at replacing manholes with a different material than concrete. I don't know if that product's out there, but it seems like we keep dumping 30, 40,000 in these manholes every 6 or 7 years.
Frank, how about clay?
Yeah, maybe clay. Clay definitely resists hydrochloric acid much better. But I'm just saying, it seems like those manholes going down 246 from El Rancho down to Nielsen's have problems all the time.
So what we'll do is when we get closer to doing this project, we'll look into replacing the manhole completely versus relining them and check the last time that they were completed, what the costs were, and do a cost comparative analysis, cost benefit analysis, if it's worth replacing them for a product that costs more versus continually doing maintenance on them. We'll do that analysis once we get closer to completing this project.
Yeah, sounds good to
Sounds
me.
good.
5,000 enough for that?
That's currently the quote that we believe is enough to do the relining. The current project as is, which is relining, replacement of the manhole covers, and filling of the manholes. That is not prices for replacement of the product or new manhole type that resists gas. So that cost to be higher.
You know, Jose, if they don't get all the acid, the hydrochloric acid out from the cement, the liner ends up not sticking. And twice, at least twice, and I'm sure maybe 3 times, because I've been not with the district for a while, they've recoated those holes and they never seem to get all the acid out of the concrete. And so then it fails again. And so it just seems like we keep paying to do the same thing over and over again.
So what we'll do is we'll include on this analysis and research of manhole replacement covers of actually going with a different manhole material and get prices for that as well. Currently, it's a holding for 4 years from now or 3 years from now at $35,000. If we want to increase that amount, so that way we can get a better number for the financial consultant for completing the rate study, we can increase that amount, saying we're going to replace the manholes with the inferior product.
How many manholes do we need are there?
We're looking at replacing 6.
And so
We said about 5,000, maybe a little over per.
to replace them completely.
To reline them, to replace the cover and the gasket, the current technology that's there. And I understand what Director Redfern is saying, because Craig has mentioned the same thing. Sometimes they don't get in there and do a complete cleaning, so it's hard for that liner to stick on.
My question is, what does it cost to replace a manhole? Not the entire manhole per.
I don't have that figure with me. I'd have to do some
Would
research.
raising that from 35 to 50,000?
That should be sufficient, I would say.
You know, how, Frank, is it possible we could put a clay liner inside the existing concrete?
You know, there's a lot of technologies that I don't know about, so I'm not going to say yes or no, but I just see that we keep spinning our wheels on the same project.
Yeah, this is a discussion for later. We're talking about budgetary things right now. So if we raise that line item to 50,000, I think that solves our problem for right now. And then we can look into doing what we're actually going to do
When we do it.
I like that.
We're talking about getting this finished for a rate study. So let's put actual numbers in there that we think we're going to use. I would put 50,000 in that line item.
Perfect. And at that time, we'll bring it back with newer technology.
Okay.
Thank you. So the next project we're looking at completing on here is, would be fall under sewer main repair project. But it's a Tabola Sagunta 12 feet off track, 12-inch ductile iron pipe rehab project. So the CSD currently has a 12-inch ductile iron that runs approximately 200 feet in length through the creek between Tabola and Sagunta. The line is currently being choked down based on tuberculation building up in there, because it is a metal pipe, and so we're getting tuberculation, rust is starting to accumulate. So we need to go in there and do some chain felling of the line, and then reline this portion of the main line as well. And so the quote that we received a few years back, or about a year and a half back, was for approximately $60,000. And so what we did is we've already reached out to the engineer to go out and research getting firmer costs on completing this project. We're also talking about probably breaking it up into a 2-year project where we do the chain flooding first, get rid of the tuberculation, go in there with the camera, see what we have, and then maybe reassessing and seeing if we need to do a liner the following year, or what form of maintenance we could do to that line.
I think we should, do we need to vote on this?
No, we'll do it at the end, we'll make a motion to approve the CIP as discussed.
Okay.
So the last, next item on here is a hydrojetter. Again, we discussed this briefly earlier with rental of other facilities' equipment. So this would not be even discussed until fiscal year 24-25. We're not saying at this time that we want to replace our hydrojetter, but we're anticipating that by that time, the hydrojetter will be approximately 20 years old, and we should reevaluate and get a diagnosis on our hydrojetter and see if it needs replacement, or if they can just take some repairs to prolong it for another 5 or 10 years at that time. So that's what that is, the placeholder for that as well. Okay, so the next one are current items, and we've already discussed the vehicle for this year. We'll move it over to next fiscal year, as we wouldn't have time to bring that back and get firm discussion prior to the Horizon project this fiscal year. So moving on to next fiscal year. The next one is a financial accounting software, which we'll discuss tonight on purchasing of the financial accounting software in a separate staff report. So currently we have budgeted here for $45,000. We received quotes that were less than $45,000 by going out again and not just relying on one quote, and getting several quotes from different agencies to bring that cost down as well. The next one is office space and storage upgrades. The need for more storage and secure storage and ergonomic workspace is essential for Wendy up at the front. She needs a bigger workspace, better accessibility to storage facilities, especially secure storage, and it's also not ADA compliant. We need to meet that requirement as well. And also the general manager's was included, general manager's office was included in this initial discussion on upgrade of office furniture. But the quotes that we received so far were less than what we have budgeted here at approximately $35,000. They were just a little bit less than that on the 2 quotes we received. If that was something that the board gave direction to move forward with, then we would try to get more quotes and reduce that cost as well. Another option is to bypass any work being done in the general manager's office, but ensuring that Wendy has a ergonomic workspace and has plenty of storage facility there. One concern that was brought up at the finance committee was making the front desk a more secure workspace, more secure work area. And so what we discussed were possibly putting up a wall at the front desk there. Put up a wall that serves as a community, or members of the community come in, they have a lounge area to come into. There'd be a wall between the front desk personnel and the people coming into the door.
I think it's a security issue, plus with COVID, we actually have not done anything for the public coming in to protect Wendy, and I think it's something that we need to do as a board.
Well, I like that because it's an added bonus, and I don't think it's going to be that way forever, but
Right.
For now, it
But
makes
I'm also
sense. But
looking at long-term
yes.
security where people can just come in and come into the office. They need to be allowed to be let in.
I completely agree. And one question I had, I know that Craig uses an office and then the other guys use an office. And I've been concerned for a long time that Wendy doesn't have an office. We spoke maybe even before you guys came on board about at some point, we might want to hire a part-time receptionist and for Wendy to be doing the reception area and meeting all of her responsibilities. She definitely needs a secure office.
Yeah.
So that would set us up for now, but in the future, I definitely think we need to talk about if we need, what our needs are as far as employees, if we need to add some help there. for the stuff that anyone can do. There are things that only you can do, and you need to have the space and the security to work in. So I like the idea of cutting that off, and because we don't have a lot of customers and we just need a little seating area, then there could be a wall and a door and a window.
It could be a glass storefront wall
Yeah,
with a door in it
yes.
that has a buzzer that she has under her desk that she could buzz people in. I'm not really, I'm more concerned that for security reasons and documentation. I can tell you, I walked in here and took a piece of paper off the desk before I was even knew what was going on. And the guy told me I couldn't take it. I told him he could take it out of my cold dead hand.
So we need to protect us from you.
So I'm telling you, that's how I found out that we were being annexed.
Right, well, I
You know?
agree that just for a lot of reasons, but we
Right.
do have sensitive documents, we have checks, blah, blah, blah. It makes sense.
Right.
So give us a plan. I think it's,
So a couple
yeah.
options that we discussed just internally was having a contractor come in, and the wall would be currently where the front of Wendy's desk is,
Right.
all the way across the frontage of the office area there, with the door currently on the opening between her desk and the wall. We have the door there. We talked about getting a contractor to come in and build a wall. We've also reached out to these two companies that we received quotes on the office furniture from, for them to provide quotes. And their basic solution, as like Director Beard said, was putting a glass wall with a sliding window for the desk area and a glass door for entry and exit.
Right.
coming in.
I
Yeah.
wouldn't want to see putting a wall up there to cut the light, the natural light. I think it needs a glass. I think it needs a glass wall to,
I think Wendy would concur with that as well.
yeah, so the details, the details to be determined, but I think everybody here, there's consensus.
With the COVID situation, we need to get some plexiglass around her, even if it's just a standing plexiglass to protect her and to protect anybody coming in for COVID, even if it's temporary.
And we're working on those engineering factors right now. We having staff look at getting some plexiglass and making a stand around her desk.
Right. Just, I mean, I hate to box you in right now, but
Clear.
with COVID, I think we should have addressed this before.
But it'd be super cool if we could get it all in one quickly. Like,
Right.
yeah, that would be ideal.
I don't think plexiglass is going away. We're gonna have plexiglass from now on.
Right. And as far as I'm concerned, if you bring us a budget for that security wall, I'm sure it would be approved right away.
Okay, so we currently have 35,000 budgeted for the office furniture remodel, and the glass window could be additional $10,000 to $20,000. We don't have a cost on that as well. If that's something the board is willing to,
Should we just bump that to 50?
is that something the board?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. The last thing on here is the rate study. Every 5 years, the district must conduct a rate study, so that's something that should be completed this fiscal year. And we're currently looking at, like I say, getting the CIP into the hands of the financial consultant to complete his rate study. There's also one other project that needs to be finalized to get into his hand as well to complete the rate study. So we have that budgeted for this year. We currently have about $20,000 to complete that rate study, which should be sufficient to complete. So the reason why we need to get that approved as well, so we can get to him right away.
Right.
And have him start working on that rate study, so that there's plenty of time for dialogue for the board to discuss on how they want to proceed with rate increases, decreases, reviews, and all that as well.
Okay. So do we have any public comments? Well, without public comments, do we need to make a motion for the changes that were suggested?
Real quick, I just want to make
Okay.
the suggested changes that were presented tonight. We're going to move operations vehicle from fiscal year 2021 to 21-22. We are going to increase office space upgrade from 35,000 to 50,000. We are going to increase manhole cover replacements in fiscal year 22-23 to $50,000. Those are the 3 adjustments that were made on this CIP this evening.
And what was the adjustment on the, you said office space already on that?
Yes.
Okay.
So we're looking for a motion to approve as read with the following adjustments. Okay, so do we have a motion to do that?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
I'll second it.
Oh,
Redford can second it.
we'll give it to Redfern this time. Being on Zoom, you just don't get the attention you deserve.
Okay, so we have a motion by Director Deambra and a second by Director Redfern to approve the 10-year capital improvement plan with the changes to the operations vehicle, the office space upgrade, and the manhole cover replacement. We'll do a roll call vote. Director Beard?
Aye.
Director Jones?
Aye.
Director Deambra?
Aye.
Director Redfern?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, and with that, we move to action item G.
So this is for approval of proposal for auditing services. At the November 20.
Oh, F, I got it wrong. Sorry, okay, F,
Okay.
sorry.
At the November 18, 2020 board meeting, the board approved for release of the RFP to solicit for professional auditing services for the CSD. Following is a schedule that was provided at that time. The release of the RFP was sent out in November. The RFPs were due on January 4th and opened up and reviewed by staff. At the finance committee, they reviewed the proposals as well, made a recommendation, which we'll discuss here in the staff report as well. We're hoping tonight to approve the board to select the auditing firm, and then we'll contact the staff, the auditing firm tomorrow to let them know that they've been awarded the contract, and we'll have legal draw up the contract and enter into this agreement with the auditing firm. So the CSD received a total of 7 proposals. And as we do, we're always looking at the cost benefit for the CSD. We initially received 2 auditing proposals from the initial release, and we didn't feel that that was going to be cost benefit, so we sent it out through another media outlet, which is the CSDA platform, and received an additional 5 RFPs as well. Being able to receive 7 allows the district to have a broader bill to choose from, and also present some cost savings based off of all those submittals as well. As you can see, the chart provided here provides the 7 firms that provided their RFPs, and you can see the cost summaries here. And also, Wendy pointed out, she wanted to ensure that the board was aware of the hours provided for the auditing services and anticipated hours that the firms that submitted the RFP were looking at providing. And so what we wanted to do was ensure that the board understood that our current auditor for the past 6 years has averaged about 90 hours per audit. So we wanted to find firms that were close to that and not too far below that, so that we can be comparable in what we've received in the past. And so the top 2 firms that were discussed were Nigro and Moss Levy and Hartman, based off of their hours that they're providing for their auditing services. A third auditing firm that was presented to the finance committee was David Farnsworth. And one reason why David Farnsworth was presented to the auditing committee is because he did provide a service for training for the board of directors for fraud prevention and realization. So the board would get trained on being able to find fraud or discover fraud by review of the financial documents. I understood that could have been a concern. So again, finance committee made the recommendation of Nigro as the first option and Moss Levy and Hartman as the second option.
Well, just looking at the cost, bottom line, the Nigro is less expensive. Is there a reason why we should go with Moss Levy and Hartman?
One reason Moss Levy and Hartman is familiar with the Central Coast. They do a lot of the special districts and cities within the Central Coast, and they also have a local office in the city of Santa Maria. That would be one benefit for them. But again, Nigro does have a good background. Their RFP came out clean, and we appreciate what they submitted, and it looked like they could do a good job.
Where are they located?
Nigro is located up north in close to San Jose.
But you also look at the hours per
Yes.
year.
Yes,
One has 94 and one has 141.
41, yes.
So,
I am familiar with Moss Levy and Hartman, as they were the auditing firm for Los Osos CSD while I was there as well. I was very confident in their capabilities and ability. But again, the cost, I think to save $4,000 overall would be good for the district.
Well, just one thought, how I make these decisions Personally, I like to go, I never go with the cheapest. I always go with the second cheapest if I'm really looking at money stuff. It's just like a rule of thumb I have. So, but that's, I can be convinced to go with the least expensive. Anyway, I'm convince me of one or the other. I like the Santa Maria connection. I like that you're familiar with the slightly more expensive Moss and
Based off of
Company.
Reviewing their RFPs, I would say let's go with Nigro and Nigro. That would be my suggestion. Wendy and
Okay.
I,
Okay, well, I don't have a problem with saving money, but Director Redfern has a comment.
I have a question. If we go with Niagara and Niagara because they're less expensive, what happens if we go over the 94 hours? What is their cost then in versus?
For the cost that they proposed, they can't charge us more.
Okay, so they say they can take care of all our problems in 94 hours a year.
Right.
The reason I don't go with the least expensive when I'm buying something that I'm unfamiliar with is sometimes they have the least value. But, you know, that's just when I'm buying something, it's like, I don't really want the bottom rate one, even though I'm looking for savings. But I don't know enough about these, you know, if there's a reason the finance committee has looked at these bids, and I'm open to whatever you guys all think is best.
So I agree with that.
Well, I'm not saying that Moss Levy are, I mean, if you deduct it down to 94 hours, they're probably about the same cost.
Yeah, and so they are going to be billing us based on how much time.
No.
No, so they're
They're
going to
billing
bill
us
us.
what they proposed.
Okay, so it's going to be the 32 or whatever it was.
Right.
Okay.
So they're not going to give us a discount if they use less hours.
Okay, and these guys aren't going to charge us more if they go over their
Correct.
hours.
Correct.
But are they going to be bitter and do a crummy job?
No. And so as you can see, actually, they were not the cheapest. Parkwell and Company were, but we also looked at other factors that would say, you know, we don't necessarily want to go with the cheapest either because quality of product isn't always the best.
Oh, well, that doesn't, that just saves me. Now we are at the second from the bottom, and that's where I like to shop.
Yeah.
60 hours and 50 hours, I don't think that they would be, sure, they say they can do it, but it's back to the quality of,
Right.
you know, what are they looking for in those hours? And with Feedick and Brown, they were very detailed. I mean, they went above and beyond their auditing. I mean, they audited everything. So that's why I think 94 hours is good, 92 hours is good, and 41 hours is good.
And they did a great job. I just like the best practice of changing every few years. So I like, you know, is there a motion to go with Nigro and Nigro? I mean, this is what our general manager and Wendy recommend.
And our finance committee.
Finance committee, so that's me and you are the two that aren't in the we don't recommend anything, Director Redfern, but I'm very happy to accept that recommendation.
Good
How about
with it
you?
too. Yeah.
Okay, so can we get a motion to accept, let me read it right here. D or F. Okay, can I get a motion to authorize staff to sign a 3-year contract for auditing services with Nigro and Nigro?
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion from Director Beard. Do we have a second?
Second it.
Director Redfern has seconded it.
Okay, so we have a motion by Director Beard and a second by Director Redfern to authorize staff to sign a contract with Nigro and Nigro for auditing services for the next 3 years. Looking at a roll call vote, Director Beard.
Aye.
Director Jones.
Aye.
Director Gambra.
Aye.
Director Redfern.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, then we shall move to action item G, discussion of wastewater rate study and approval of preferred finance option. So is that you, Director or General Manager Acosta?
So again, I mentioned earlier, the wastewater rate study must be completed every 5 years. The current rate study is set to expire June 30th of 2021. So we need to get a new rate study completed. The Rise and Drive funding option, along with the review and input of the 10-year CIP, are vital factors for completing the wastewater rate study. So those are two things that are going to be discussed in this staff report. Rise and Drive funding options were presented to the board 2 months ago. One was a Clean Water State Water Revolving Fund, which is a 0.9% APR, and then we also had a CSDA loan at 3%. We presented those costs to the board. We also reviewed all the options and availabilities and best practices for the district. The board agreed that the CSDA option would be the best option to pursue when we get ready for funding. So that's the option that I'm looking to forward to Tuckfield Associates, so that way he can complete the rate study based off of those charges. And then also the 10-year CIP plan as approved tonight, I will forward that to him as well. That way he can conclude to start on the rate study. It's a very short staff report, as those are just the 2 items that I need the board to say, let's present those to Tuckfield so that way he can complete his rate study.
You know, the fact that the state was maybe next year to get the funding, it puts it out of contention because of Horizon. We want to get going by June, and we won't get the funding. We can't do anything until we get the funding from the state. So I think they've just kind of pushed themselves into the closet.
Okay.
And as you go on, it's just gonna get more expensive. That's the cost of it.
Right. And the hidden fees. So we partnered with the CSD as well, I think. The board as well.
So it's kind of falling into the other one.
Yes, it
It's
is.
just kind of like it's a natural evolution. Yeah, it looks good.
So we need a public comment and then move into.
Okay, and is there any public comment on the rate study? And with none, then do we need a motion?
We can make a motion to forward to Tuckfield and Smith the cost for the loan through CSDA loan at 3%, and also forwarding the approved CIP plan tonight.
Okay, well, we approved the plan,
Yes.
and since there's consensus, do we really have to vote on this?
No.
Yeah, do.
So,
Okay, good. Then we shall go to action item H, review, discuss, and recommendations of financial software purchase. And I don't know if this is going to be the general manager or our treasurer secretary. I know we got the paperwork on it this evening,
what
so,
I'll do, let's give a quick description of what we did and then turn over to Wendy.
Okay, very good.
Pros and cons and details about the software we're looking to purchase. So currently the CSD utilizes QuickBooks for its financing software. QuickBooks wasn't put together to be used for fund accounting or for governmental accounting practices. So what we're looking to do is purchase a financial software that will allow us to be able to provide those services. It'll also allow us to provide cleaner reporting and easier functionality for Wendy to operate as well. You'll see that there are 3 quotes provided, and all 3 quotes will
Go to the
be by.
back page, or I think it's close to the back page.
Bob, you have yours, we'll send it to you, and
Back
Karen,
page, it
yours
has
is
all
on
the-
the back page.
I just had it
which
here.
back page?
The whole back page. of-
Okay, so H,
I gotta find it here. You
I'm
gotta-
sorry, yes,
what I do.
right there.
there, very good.
So we also did was a software comparative analysis. We took it out 10 years because for purchasing this project, we're looking to hopefully utilize it for the next 10 years. So with that being said, turn it over to Wendy so she can explain some of the pros and cons of what she's looking at with this software.
One of the problems with QuickBooks is, number one, it doesn't do fund accounting. And when QuickBooks was originally set up here, it wasn't set up correctly. So you don't have like accounting CPA account numbers. Like for instance, cash counter like the 1,000. And with the way QuickBooks was set up is, I'm not sure quite of their formatting with the account numbers, but now we're kind of like maxed out and I have to like kind of like put them in, kind of somehow make them fit. And one problem with QuickBooks is if you're doing if you set up a new account for, say, administration, so we'll say administration, office remodel. If you put it into 511, account numbers, it's not going to put it into the 5-1 section. You can only move it a certain amount. And then when you go to look at the, budget performance, report, it doesn't, you can't take like all the administration figures and take the bottom line and say, okay, that's all administration. You have to like add them in, and it does that along in the operations, like with the city of Solvang, monthly fee. And, I think the other one is, the project accounts. So you have to add like those back in. And so it doesn't allow you to put things where they belong. So all your reporting is off. So you kind of have to hand manipulate it. And it doesn't, QuickBooks doesn't have the availability to give you like really good reports. And with the financial software, they're all very good. All of them would work. Some are a lot more expensive than the others, but they would all be good. Tyler Technologies is one that's very popular with all governments. Cassell, but you know, they're at 234,000 for 10 years. Cassell was our most favorite, but they're at 222,000 for 10 years. And then Black Mountain, that was sufficient. Because we are so small, I don't think we need something as big as Tyler and Cassell, because we are very small and we don't have, you know, a lot of different funds. So it would just allow for more flexibility and a lot better reporting.
One thing I do want to mention, at the finance committee as well, we did discuss this, and Wendy did reach back out to the other two that were not recommended and stated, you know, at this time, the finance committee is making a recommendation to move forward with a different product because they were cheaper and there was cost savings there, and they still provide the same level of service your product does. We try to forward that information to provide them an opportunity to come back and say, okay, can we lower our price? We didn't get that response, so.
Hey, you tried.
Yes.
And I understand that QuickBooks is not ideal for what you do. And obviously, once
It's like
again,
trying to put a MacBook in a one-car garage.
and lots of places go through this. We went through a similar thing at the airport board. You know, you need specific software, but then
Yeah.
our solution ended up being way more than we needed and way too expensive. And so then we went back. We didn't go back to QuickBooks, but we went back to probably what is like the Black Mountain, because Little Airport didn't have the same business that, you know, got these more expensive programs highly recommended. So how do you feel about the one that is at the just under 100 grand, the Black Mountain?
They would be great. One other thing is, we were Tyler and Cassell. We got quotes for district server-based quotes, and they're less money in a 10-year comparative. But we talked to our computer guy, and he said to house the server, you have to buy I mean, it doesn't include the equipment, and I have no idea how much that equipment is. But he said you totally don't want to go with server-based, district-based server option, because you have to maintain the server, you have to buy the equipment, you have to make sure it's safe. And with our current internet, the way we have it, the cloud-based options would all work perfectly for us.
So Black Mountain will do a cloud-based? We can
Yes.
do cloud-based?
They're the only one that doesn't do server-based, like district server-based.
What about
We want to
upgrades?
keep, it's actually more beneficial to us in case of a natural disaster or whatever,
Right.
that it is on cloud or it is
Yes.
server-based.
What was,
You buy it Monday and Friday, it's antiquated. Anything with it.
all the.
Upgrades, how do they work that?
As long as you pay the annual,
Mhm.
it's all included in all.
So you'll stay current state of the art as the
Yes.
technology.
Yes.
Okay, that's reasonable, I would think.
Okay, so at this point, are we looking for a motion to approve a choice here?
Purchase of financial software through Black Mountain.
Yes, so do we have a motion to approve the purchase of software, Black Mountain software?
I'll make the motion.
Do we
Well, I'm
have,
spending a lot of money here tonight.
Let's take you out for a drink.
You know how to get to me, it's the chocolate up there, you know.
Okay.
do we have a second?
Wait, who was the first? Sorry.
Director Deambra.
I forgot about the drink already, huh?
Okay.
Okay, so we
I'll
have
second that.
Director Beard.
Okay, so we have a motion by Director Deambra and a second by Director Beard to purchase the Black Mountain software. We'll do a roll call vote. Director Beard?
Aye.
Director Jones?
Aye.
Director Deambra?
Right.
Director Redford?
I,
Motion passes. Thank you very much.
Okay, making life easier. So now we shall go to informational items. We'll go to the treasurer's report.
Okay, so we have two quarterlies. One is for September 30th, 2020, and the other one is for December 31st, 2020. And the balance in the checking account as of 9/30/2020 was $88,265. The money market was $674,914. LIF was $161,689. 5-star was $3,312,573 with a total cash of $4,156,645. And then for December 31st, 2020, the balance in the mechanics checking is $674,180. And that was so large because at the end of December, we get our property tax money and it hadn't been transferred because we have to wait for it to actually be deposited before we can transfer it. The mechanics money market account was $484,222. LIF was $162,033. 5-star was $3,370,912, which gives us a total of $4,638,351. And that's information only. You guys have any questions?
No, I don't think so.
Move on.
Yes, so on to the manager's report.
Yes, ma'am. So tonight's manager's report, I have some updates for the board on some of the activities that the manager's completed. Again, some of these may be repeats from earlier staff reports, but we'll go ahead and review them as well. The SRF loan application was completed and submitted by the December 31st deadline, and we're waiting to get the prior scoring worksheet. Staff attended an online workshop for new Cal OSHA guidelines for COVID-19, and some of those requirements and the plan are being implemented at this time with extra precautions being taken. One of them is reevaluating the front floor space area, protecting Mandy, and also some better hand sanitizing, better cleaning methods, and temperature taking of each employee every day. We're doing those methods as well. The general manager compiled an update letter to all Horizon Drive residents. Again, that'll be completed on a monthly basis after this meeting. I'll be providing them the same updates that I provide to the board tonight. And this next one, what I've also encouraged in my meeting, on my letter, was attendance at the board meetings, whether it's via Zoom or in person, is very instrumental in them understanding the project and being able to ask questions and give their input as well. This next month's meeting, I'm going to provide, in the letter, I'm going to provide an invitation for one-on-one meetings with any residents who are interested in that with myself, and we'll try to arrange it whether it's via Zoom, a phone call, or making an appointment to come into the office, meeting one-on-one, or I can make it out to their residents one-on-one. I'd like to do this for the COVID reasons of not having 20 people come in at once, or being able to give them an individual meeting as well and talk to them and answer any questions. That will be included in this next month's. The district website has also been updated with the Horizon Drive update tab. If you go on the website now, there's a tab there that the residents can click on, and what we have on there are plans and specs for the project are on there, and also the project technical report that was completed by Canon gives a whole background on the project as when we started looking into this project and where the plans came from, how we got to the point of getting direction to staff to proceed. And what we'll do is we'll continue providing more information on that tab for the public to be able to access as well. We completed the tapping of the main line, allowing for Sienna Way residents to connect to the CSD's collection sewer system. If you recall, a few months back, that those properties were annexed through LAFCO into the CSD, allowing them to connect to sewer service.
If I may interrupt you, how many, there's 5 there. is
Yes,
that-
there is.
How many plumbed in?
None of them are currently plumbed in yet. So the plumbing is there, the laterals are there for them to connect to. We're anticipating 4 out of 5 getting connected.
We have 4 in the case.
Oh, okay, so just one. Okay, good.
Staff is currently working on compiling a newsletter to send out, which is the direction of the board to send out a biannual newsletter. So what we'll do is we'll present that at the February board meeting for approval and get that out to the residents.
One of my questions from earlier was, that I didn't ask earlier, that I wanted to, was this line that we're putting through the easement to Horizon. Will Horizon be able to handle if we take it to further on the west side to take?
Yes, that was the anticipated plan of building it to the size that we did
Okay.
and the depth where we're putting it at the completion end.
So that would take over Skyline Park and
And should be able to take up.
up to.
Deer Trail.
It's a
Deer Trail
pitch
on
up
the side.
of a couple degrees going up. You can see it going up Refugio's.
Right,
Horizon's kind of the low point.
it is the low point.
Yeah.
My house is the high point,
Yeah, well, there it is.
you know, one of the high points there. But I know the other way would be going down,
Refugio?
no, you could go, because there are some properties that are hooked up in Skyline Park
In the back.
In the back.
In the back.
Calzada,
through Calzada, yeah, or through whatever the road is that, yeah,
I believe it is.
Yeah.
yeah. So I just wanted to make sure that line was big enough to handle
I think it's, yeah.
400 homes or
It's-
300 homes.
It's this house down here at the very end of that kind of flag lot.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, it's anticipated to be designed to be able to handle that. Compiled staff reports for the finance committee meeting and completed the finance committee meeting. Received, reviewed, and reviewed RFPs for the auditing services. And I've also, what I've tried to do is, when I got here and then 6 months again, later is conduct one-on-one meetings with staff. I know we are a small staff, but I feel that these one-on-one meetings are beneficial. They provide an opportunity to provide constructive criticism based on what I see and what I think these operators can improve on or what they've accomplished in the 6-month period. It also allows for employee growth, and the open dialogue allows for employees to give feedback and discuss their ideas, concerns, and goals as well. I try to do coaching as much as I can with the employees to help them grow. And we do have some employees here who want to grow and want to do better. So want to continue pushing them to be the best they can. Also something that I've worked on compiling now is a task list. I compiled this Horizon Direct Mainline task list for the board to review. This is a living document. We'll continue adding tasks as they come on to the project, and also for any board input on any task that you want to see on this task list on a monthly basis. Let me know and I'll add it to this, and we can say if it's completed, in process, or not completed. This also provides direction to the board to show the work that has been completed, the efforts that have been put into this project in the last 6 months. It is something that has involved a lot of staff time and a lot of coordination and collaboration to get to where we are today. So we want to make sure that you guys are aware that we are working on this and we are making this a priority. I'm working on compiling some mappings, so that way we have, I want to call it a war map, because it'll be a map that'll be posted. I'll be in my office, so if you ever come by and want to see it, it'll be there, and we'll put updates on this project, and we'll have information on all the residents, where we're at on this project, and draw the lines on there, draw what we have going on so far. And I call it a war map, because it'll be something that'll be continuously updated, recon, and made available for them. That concludes my management report for tonight. Do you have any questions?
I see none. So legal counsel's report, Rick is on, but we can Do we need that tonight
I don't believe we need a legal counsel update this evening. We'll bring Rick on board and we'll bring him on.
for the
phone
valuation?
After
Yeah.
we get to closed session.
Okay, and do you have anything more?
Yes.
Okay, Wendy.
SDRMA sent out a thing this morning. They are asking for nominations for the 2020 Board of Directors for SDRMA. Last year, you guys nominated Director Beard. So that needs to be, a nomination needs to be approved by resolution, and it's due in April. So if you guys are interested, we can bring back a resolution at a future board meeting for sitting on the seat of
That's running,
SDRMA.
that's running for the position.
Yes.
Oh, I was gonna think that you would be great.
Yeah.
SDRMA is our insurance provider,
Yeah, so,
and they're in Sacramento.
I mean, I ran for the spot and didn't get it last time, but you know.
well, I have a 0 for 3 record myself on these, although I have not campaigned yet. Now, see, if we went around like Mr. Geyer, is that his name?
Yes.
Like if you go and attend a SE or CSD meetings around, you can, but,
That's the guy who was recruiting support.
yes.
Yeah.
So I don't know if anybody
So
has
if you
any
guys are
interest.
interested, we can bring it back. If not, then,
I'm not interested right now. I've got a lot going on, and it sounds like you do too.
okay.
They're on their own. They're not gonna get the benefit of us.
And then, I just got an email from, the county, regarding updating our conflict of, interest members, board members through their South Coast hosting. So, I do believe conflict of interest forms are due by April 2nd, but I'm not 100% sure on that exact date. So as soon as we, select a new board member, then I'll put that in there, and you guys should be getting, emails through the South Coast hosting, to update to resubmit your conflict of interest. And that's all I have.
Okay.
700.
Yes.
Okay, so then committee reports, we did have a financial committee meeting, right?
Yeah, we had the financial committee meeting and the recommendations were for, to approve the budget, which we did, and also to, make the changes to yeah.
We covered it already. Yeah, we covered the stuff. Okay,
Yeah, so,
very good.
yeah.
So now we're going to go into closed session, but before we do, are there any public comments on the closed session item? Seeing none, I say that we go into closed session and bring
Let
Rick.
Rick know, we'll call him on the phone. We're gonna move the laptop from the room.
Okay, let's see.
And going into closed session at 7:42.
Are you wishing to return after the closed session?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Good to
Thank
meet
you for
all,
coming in.
And I will see you.
Thank
in a
you.
week.
Okay.
Thank you.
So
So,
did you, pause the recording or stop the recording?
no, here, I'll pause the recording. And Rick, I don't know how to get his attention here. Yes, I can.
Hi, I'm here. Are you able to hear me?
Okay.
Yes,
Yes, we can hear you.
we're gonna take a quick break and get ready for closed session.
You got
And
any,
we'll call on your cell phone.
you got any sandwiches in that refrigerator in there? David?
I did.
Bob, you eat all the time? That's all you
I
talk
have a
about.
salad, would you like a salad?
Who wants candy?
I got peanut butter.
Hey, what do you think? I look like a rabbit?
All right, well, you guys have fun.
You're not coming in on this?
No, I'm not allowed.
They can handle tonight, excellent.
And then we're gonna call
Rick, and
Rick
then
on the
Rick.
cell phone.
So we'll call Rick on the
Oh,
cell.
hold on, real Rick is,
Yeah, but do we need to call him on the phone or do we?
well, he's an attorney. We'll ask him.
Because we need to put everybody else off.
Hi, Rick.
I
Yes.
didn't hear the question.
Oh, trying to decide if it's better to talk to you on cell phone, or how do we do this on Zoom? Because we've paused the recording. Jay is still here, so should I, yes, oh, hold it.
My-
You tell me how I should work this. How do I get Jay out of the closed session?
Yeah, it's more of a technology question than it is a legal question. I guess since I don't fully understand the technology, my preference would be to have him leave the meeting rather than be waiting in the meeting room. I
Yes.
don't, and then the important thing will be to make sure you're able to see whether anybody else joins the Zoom meeting. If
I can't see who's in the room and
you
nobody else
can't
is
see that.
joining. Yes.
Okay, and
So-
if you keep an eye on that,